Welcome to Bubbler.
Hey, Kerri, boy, am I glad to see you at the Bubbler. My morning is not off to the best start, and I still haven't had my office cup of coffee because some jackhole drank the last of the coffee without starting a new pot. Are you
Oh, that's
kidding
the
me?
worst. Oh, I hate that. I hate that so much.
I'm ready to hit reset, but man, I'll tell you, it's driving me crazy in there.
Don't even get me started with the lunchroom office antics right now. Everybody is cooking up their fish in the break room, and
Oh,
it is the worst.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of nuking my fish, but you know what's worse than nuked fish?
What?
When someone just clears out their fridge on what I call the morbidly mysterious meal that haunts me every time I open the refrigerator door. I don't know what's in it. I want to
Yeah.
take a picture of it and start an office pool.
It's in one of those see-through containers that you get at Fridays. You can see what's in it, and you're not exactly sure what it is. Gross.
Sometimes it's even in a restaurant specific to go container, and there's no way in hell whatever's in that container came from that restaurant. And if it did, that place should be closed and condemned immediately.
Yeah, and I'm not a leftovers girl, so it's even more disgusting.
Maybe you can help me wrap my head around it. It still blows me away that there are people who eat other people's lunch out of the office fridge,
Yes.
regardless if it's labeled. Normally, they start getting labeled when there's an ongoing offender. I'm not talking about someone that's, going through a rough patch. But my point is the person that just brazenly sees Mick's lunchbox, reaches into it and takes out his vegan lunch entree and takes it back to their desk or wherever they go to quietly eat it. I picture
I
them in a stall somewhere, laughing.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't. Like, if I took something that wasn't mine, yeah, that you think they go hide in a stall. I don't think they do. I think they steal the lunch. They go to the microwave. They're proud. They even are talking to Judy and Gary and all the other players. And they're like, I'm just going to eat this lunch. And they don't care. I really don't. If we could get, someone to explain the psyche of this crazy maniacal lunch villain, I would love that because I don't think they're hiding. I think they're out in the open. They're in plain sight.
So, well, I think there's different levels of sociopath involved in the abduction and consumption of someone else's meal. And I've seen games that's different. I actually got pranked once where someone held my lunch ransom and put a note in its place. I even had someone one time do it to where there was a puzzle I had to solve to find my lunch. But I'm talking about the person who just brazenly eats multiple people's lunches, and you start putting up flyers and even sending out company emails about, hey, first time's an accident, second time, maybe not, third time, you're a psychopath. But there are people that it's almost like they become the lunch serial killer, thumbing their nose at our special crime investigative unit. I just don't know if there's anything you could do worse than that. I mean, can you think of anything?
Oh, yes, I can. I actually have had someone not only take my lunch, but they took part of it and put it back. So when I got
Yes.
to get my lunch, yes, and when I get to get my lunch, half of it was gone. What kind of wacko does that?
A pretty brazen one whose fuck basket is empty, but I'll tell you, I almost appreciate that more than the serial offender, right? I mean, if someone's just like, that looks good. Now, was there a visible bite mark or did they just take like it was cut in half and they took half?
It was like a half situation. So it would be like I had like a pasta dish and I went in and it was like they had scooped out half of it. So they took the time to put it on another plate to heat it up, scooped it out of my container. And I believe my name was on it because at that time we knew there was an issue at the office refrigerator. So everybody put their names on it. And I think we also put dates because every week you would clean out the refrigerator. So there were certain dates that would have to be on things. So your stuff didn't get thrown away. Yeah, they went in, scooped it up, helped themselves, had a delicious pasta lunch. But yeah, is that crazy?
Out of all of them, the one I have the most respect for is the one that stole half of your meal. I'm just imagining how meticulously they had to scoop the half out, put it on whatever they're going to make. It may have been a two-man job there, Carrie, because there may have been a lookout and they're scooping it and they're heating it up probably there in the microwave, left your half. So they're not like a heartless villain or thief. I almost consider them more of a considerate con artist. I'm going to go pour myself a cup of coffee and contemplate this a little further, but I think I would like to propose a toast to the gentleman or woman who brazenly and boldly took half your meal, but then left the other half for you because you know what? They're not too far gone. And I think that's a soul we can save.
I think that is the legend of the lunchroom.
You know what, Carrie? On that note, I'm going to go make myself a fresh cup of coffee. And thanks for letting me hit the reset button. All rise.
It's time for Mick Makes the Call.
You may be seated.
Wow.
All right, Carrie. Well, I'm a little excited and I'm a little nervous. You have a new segment that you're going to throw at me since I blindsided you last week. I'm a little nervous. All I know is it's called Mick Makes the Call. I'm ready. I'm going into this with an open mind. Give it to me, sister.
All right. I'm really excited about this segment. I'm hoping that you can make the final call on this topic. So I want to tell you a story. Then at the end of the story, I want you to tell me who is to blame.
Okay.
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 All right. Years ago, a husband and wife are driving home and they get to the house where they have a garage. The husband is driving and the wife is in the passenger seat. The husband pulls the vehicle into the garage, walks in to the house, and the wife grabs all the bags, shuts the garage door, and goes in the house, sets the alarm, and goes to bed. The next morning, the husband wakes up and opens the inside garage door to find that the outside garage door is open. Comes in and starts yelling at the wife. You left the garage door open, to which the wife says, no, I shut the garage door. And battle ensues on whose fault it is and what happened. Upon further review, going out to the vehicle, the car is not all the way in the garage. So the wife did close the garage, but it didn't go down because the vehicle was sticking out the garage.
Right.
So whose fault was it, Mick? Was it the husband's fault who drove the vehicle into the garage and did not pull it all the way in and walked in the house and left it there? Or was it the wife's fault who pushed the button and entered in with all the bags and shut the door?
Let me be very honest with you. This is an easy one for me. I don't even have to go back to my time where I was pre-law. So the husband is 100% in the wrong in so many ways in this story. First off, take into consideration, I know you're a badass Northeasterner. I am someone who grew up in both the Midwest and the South. So you were 1 second into this story, and I'm already like, well, the husband's wrong. Oh. First off,
wow.
I would never pull into the garage, leave my wife in the car, especially knowing there's bags of things in the car, and just go inside. I wasn't raised that way. And even if I was mad at her, I would still begrudgingly help her bring the groceries in or whatever the bags were. Even if it was all of her mad shopping at the fashion mall, I would still be assisting her with all of these things. He's already wrong there. So if I had done that, I would have seen
extra layer I wasn't expecting.
Exactly. So I would have already seen that the car wasn't all the way in because I'm helping with the bags. Secondly, let's say I, for some reason, have to get into the house or she's just really pissed me off and she can do the damn bags. I'm not going to just go upstairs like it's the end of the night and wait for her to come up and join me. I would do and I really do this. This is a true story. I do an end of night walkthrough at the house where I make sure the thermostat's down.
This.
Yes.
I've heard of this. Okay.
I make sure the thermostat's at the evening setting. I double and triple check that all the doors are properly locked. And this is where I get made fun of. I open the door to the garage and make sure the door's down. and I lock the door to the garage. But I have this almost OCD evening routine. That's another thing. Maybe I'd let her bring the bags in because I'm mad at her. I'm not going to let her put stuff away by herself and not help her. Are you kidding me? I'd be afraid to go to bed if I did any of those things. So, all of these things are reasons the husband is wrong. I rule in honor of the wife.
Okay. Definitely was not what I was expecting. Fair enough.
Nice
Judgment
try.
for the wife.
All right, Carrie, do you know what time it is?
What time is it, Nick?
It's time for Blindsided. All right. You ready, Carrie?
I'm ready. Bring it.
Ross versus Rachel. Were they on a break?
They were on a break.
Do you think it was okay that he slept with the
I do.
girl?
I do. And look at how quick I answered that. I was like, ready, go.
You were so ready. What makes you think it's okay? Because we're not going to disagree on this one, but maybe we'll disagree on why you
Yeah,
think it's okay.
no, I really do. So look, they had such a long relationship, from being teenagers all the way up until we were seeing them in their 20s, 30s or whatever. And there was a lot, behind all that. And when you say you're taking a break and you clearly are working in another direction at work, which she was, and there was other things going on that were important to her, that means a break. And, whoever it is, male or female, are going to go,
We're
feel
gonna live
sorry
their
for
lives.
themselves. Yes, and they're going to drown their sorrows. That's what I was trying to say. They're going to drown their sorrows in whatever it is, right? And I think that he was totally fine with that. They were on a break, and let it be, Rachel, for God's sakes.
Now, remember, this happened in the same evening that she said we should be on a break. I do agree with you for slightly different reasons, but not necessarily. And maybe the more we talk about it, we're probably saying the same thing. But here is why I believe that they were absolutely on a break. And of course, she can be mad and hurt that he slept with someone on the same night they broke up. But two things. First off, she clarified that they were on a break. He said, okay, let's go out. Let's grab some pizza, take a walk, or whatever he said. And she's like, no, I mean a break from us.
100%.
100%.
100%.
So she has a chance to say, well, what I really mean is, why don't we not hang out for a couple of days? But no, she's like, a break from us, Ross. You're not getting it. And
Now,
then he goes out. He's obviously distraught. It's not like he grabbed his phone and made a booty call. He went
no,
out to do something with his friends. And then he calls her because he's miserable out with his friends. And he hears another guy, the guy that she has had a short fuse with,
exactly.
his jealousy. And so, from his perspective, he just called his ex-girlfriend's house for that. She's been his ex for all of a couple hours. And the guy that she has yelled at him for being paranoid about is hanging out in her house. They're not at a restaurant. They're not out in public. They're alone. And he's talking in the background. So he loses his stuff. He loses his shit, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the deal, too, though. I do think Rachel, in her defense, I think she was more upset because it was Ross. And it was so out of character for him to do something like that. And I think that that's where the hurt probably came in a little bit more. Do I think he was right? When they were on a break, I think, was it a stupid decision? Sure. But I think for her, it was a lot harder because it was so out of character for him to do something like that. Like Joey, sure. Of course, Joey's going to go get two girls after that conversation.
Yeah, if you
Not Ross.
remember, I don't remember if it was when the gang was all locked in the bedroom, but at some point, I think it's Monica mentions to Joey, she's like, "You've gotten over someone in the amount of time it takes you to take a shower."
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to agree on this one. So this is going to be a short round. We agree. Was it stupid? Of course. Did
Yeah.
he know that the hot Xerox chick was going to hit on him at the bar?
No.
Honestly, Ross, you would have been stupid if you hadn't jumped on that. The chick was hot. And I even think it was okay for her to kind of put him through a little hell
Oh, yeah.
before getting
No,
back
I get
together.
that. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But I mean, come on. It was what she wanted, not him sleeping with somebody else, but
There it is. There's your perspective. Male
that-
versus female. Ross, definitely kind of an idiot and deserved the hell she put him through, but they were on a break.
they were on a break.
All rise.
It's time for Mick Makes the Call.
All right, Kerri, I'm excited. I believe you have another case for Mick Makes the Call.
I do, Mick. Are you ready for this one?
All right, I'm ready.
Okay. So one of my coworkers made brownies. We were very excited about the brownies. Not that kind of brownie, Nick. Just a
Damn
regular
it.
pan of brownies. It's the office now. A coworker made a pan of brownies and brought it to the office. And she was running a little late, so she went down to the break room and she put the pan down and had to go back and jump into a meeting. So she left the pan of brownies out. No note, no nothing, still covered. When we went back to enjoy the brownies, someone had already started cutting the brownies, and we were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we're going to enjoy some brownies." Somebody took it upon themselves to start slicing. Upon removing the cover, we discovered that the middle brownie was missing.
What were the cut marks all in place in just the middle, or was just the middle cut out with no other lines?
There was a square, just a square. So it wasn't a scoop. We didn't just like go in with a spoon and go for the middle. It was a perfect square in the, the
But it
middle
was
of the
carved
brownie.
as just a single square. There
Correct.
weren't edge to edge carvings covering the whole sheet.
Yes.
Okay,
So
on.
so what I would like to know is, this square maker at fault? Should they have cut the brownies and taken the edge piece first? Or is it okay to select the middle piece right off the bat? To me, that's not how you cut brownie. And you either cut them all and you go from the edge and you take one out and you keep going until you have a middle piece. And if everyone's gathered round and you prefer the middle piece, or let's talk sheet cake, you want to flour up the cake, you wait till it's cut and everybody goes about and asks for the piece. Because some people, hey, you like a crunchy brownie, you want the side piece. You might not like frosting on the sheet cake, so you don't want, one with a lot of frosting. Going for the middle or actually cutting it? What is the correct way to cut a sheet cake or a pan of brownies?
So this is a twofold case here. We'll call the individual who cut the center square. I'm going to take the center square for 1,000. We're going to call them the defendant. First and foremost, of course, the proper etiquette in this situation is, if you have the confidence to go in and say, hey, these brownies are obviously for all of us, be the person that goes in and cuts them up so you can have a slice yourself. Common etiquette would be that you would cut them, or cut at least like a section, whether it's half or a third, where you slice them up into pieces. But I wouldn't do the whole thing, just because some people might like larger pieces, some smaller, etc., and you don't know how many people this was actually made for. However, cutting out just a square and pulling it out without it looking like it was scooped, is perfectly cut square, and then removing that square of the brownie is absolute fucking brilliance. I'd love it. If I would have walked in and seen that, I would have been like, yeah, that is awesome, and laughed my ass off. So the sheer brilliance, the ballsiness, the humor in the approach of cutting one lone center square, I absolutely dismiss all charges against the defendant and would love to buy them a cup of coffee. So ruling is for the defendant, not
Right.
guilty, due to just overall brilliance and execution of dastardly.
All right.
All right, Kerri, do you know what time it is?
What time is it, Nick?
It's time for Blindsided. All right, Kerri. So I figured a great way to wrap up this episode is with a new Blindsided. And for those that don't know how Blindsided works, I'm going to pick a topic. I'm going to ask Kerri a question. She has no idea what the topic is. We may disagree, and if so, there could be some fun there. Or I may, like last time, agree and it'll be short and sweet. We've discussed the We Are the World project, the documentary, and we even discussed a little bit of the Prince and Michael Jackson rivalry. So, which is it? Michael Jackson or Prince? Who do you prefer? Who's the better artist? And go.
Oh my God. Feet to the fire? Are you kidding me with this one?
It's our
Holy cow.
generation's Beatles versus Stones, man.
I gotta go with MJ. And just I'm gonna put this out here. I know there have been lots of allegations against MJ. All of that aside,
The personal lives, the non-factor, just musically, not because of your social awareness or
right?
charges or allegations.
I have to go with Michael Jackson. I think Michael Jackson defined a generation. I know people growing up in the 80s who today would not be a Michael Jackson fan, but growing up they had a glove. I mean, Michael Jackson literally was my childhood. Thriller. And even now, oh my gosh, we have a gymnast who has a routine to Michael Jackson, and it is amazing. I would watch it 100 times in a row if I could. It is fantastic. Absolutely, hands down, has to be Michael Jackson.
I could not disagree with you more. I do understand. I really think this is the modern day Beatles versus Stones. I would imagine if I were to ask you Beatles versus Stones, typically someone that would say Michael Jackson over Prince would say Beatles over Stones. Am I right or wrong there?
I want you to be wrong, but you're right. I would have to pick Beatles.
Okay. You know
It's
why?
personal preference.
It's a personal preference, but I do think that that shows, and I know you have very diverse musical taste. That's one of the things I love about you. You and I have had a lot of exposure to music, but there's definitely more pop influence in your preferences there. Prince, believe it or not, he was really a rock musician, especially at certain stages in his career. I feel he was much more influenced by the bluesy, gritty parts of rock history, something that I think's often overlooked. Prince was a brilliant guitar player, freaking amazing.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt.
Early in Eric Clapton's career, he was asked by a journalist, "How does it feel to be the greatest guitarist alive?" And he said, "I don't know. You should go ask Jimi Hendrix." And then decades later, he was asked about his career as a guitar player, and he mentioned that he really admired the work of Prince. Prince, I think, was more musically diverse, really more experimental. I think he was more talented. There are some early recordings of his where he played every instrument. I just think his music holds up. He was innovative in the fact that he was one of the first popular musicians to leave a major studio, Warner Brothers, and record his music independently, which even though he didn't sell near as many albums, he for money. But I think his contribution to music is much more impactful. And I think you can go back and watch things like Sign of the Times, Raspberry Beret, and those things, which were so much more experimental and I think impactful, that I think Prince just overshadows Michael Jackson tremendously. I don't think Michael Jackson grew much as an
Well, I don't think,
artist towards the end.
yeah, but
Performer wise, Michael Jackson was amazing. And if you have not seen the movie This Is It, I highly recommend seeing it because it shows what that last tour would have been. And it was definitely have solidified his place in music history even more. He's still an icon. He's still one of the best, but I think Prince slays Michael Jackson in the long run.
you know what, Mac? I feel like you're calling me a basic bitch, and I'm offended.
No, and let me be, I mean, that's tough. And it's the same thing. Like, I'm a diehard Stones fan over the Beatles, but I still think the White Album is one of the greatest albums of all time.
Well, let's make no mistake. I mean, Michael Jackson's career was completely cut short for lots of reasons. So, comparison here. Let's be careful.
He had to compete with himself and putting out one of the highest selling albums of all time. And I just don't think he rose to the challenge. Yeah, and there are bad Prince albums. There are mediocre Prince albums, and there's some misses there by MJ. But if you look at just Michael versus Prince, I just don't even think it's close. The more I really think about it, we'll agree to disagree. I'm not trying to change your mind, but I'm going to disagree.
I've officially been blindsided.
And you have been blindsided.